All right, well, it's 4:15 and I think we have the school committee here. So we'll call the October 7th meeting of the Hingham School Committee to order at 4:15. We do have a few people in the audience. So this meeting is being held
Recording in progress.
as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the Town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. This is being recorded, as you heard, by the Town of Hingham and probably Harbor Media. Is anyone else recording this meeting? And if you're an attendee, if you could just use the raise hand function, that would be helpful. Okay, seeing none, we're into item 2, which is to hear and discuss a citizen proposal for Community Preservation Committee application to build out a health and fitness center at Hingham High School and to act as appropriate. Kevin, are you?
Sure, I'll certainly start if that's okay.
Great.
And apologize, I'm sure it's not that often where you meet a subcommittee and then a couple of days later meet the school committee. So I feel like I'm repeating myself, but so bear with me for the people that have heard this already. But first and foremost, most of you have known that I attended for 3 years when my daughter was part of the school committee group, a lot of these meetings. And I really appreciate all the time that you guys put in. And I really want to thank you for meeting with us because I know this is a little bit unordinary that you were able to do this. So we really appreciate it. I thought first I'd just quickly tell you how this came about, and then kind of, and if you need something else, obviously, like I said the other day, just stop me. But I think we'll hopefully answer the questions. We're really here. Well, first of all, this was an idea that came. I think I started talking with Dan Rakowskis about 8 months ago about this idea that I had, and didn't. He was joining Sports Partnership, and I was just fairly new to Sports Partnership. And he was like, let's run with it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. And so we just really started, learning about the process. I think I reached out and talked to a number of different people just to see how we even start this process or see if we can do this process is really what we were looking to do. And so over the course of a few months, we talked with people, the principal, the athletic director first, and really just tried to build a little bit of seeing the first step was seeing who we could do this, who was the right person to give approval for this. And that took us a little bit of maneuvering and figuring out, but really just came up with the idea of the high school, which is nothing that any of us don't know, needed some type of fitness center that was better than what they had. And they, to their credit, with the space that they've had and the limited space they've had, they've done everything they can with it. So we came up with this idea to potentially build out the what I call the storage area, the red building behind the high school. That's, for lack of a better word, I guess, a storage building right now, and really make it into a fitness center for the high school, all the students. And one of the things that we really, in talking with Rick Swanson, realized quickly, and he kind of reiterated to us, is that 100% of the students would use this. And the fitness center is, I always hesitate because I think a lot of people think of it as a weight room, and sometimes it gets dubbed a weight room, and it's really more than that. And it's more, it's more for the whole student body. It's more for for every student in there, not just the varsity athletes, if you will, which is what I think it gets perceived as. And I think we really have, we really identified I'll say three groups, but one is being really the whole student body this would be used for. The second group that has kind of come to us in talking with people is the need for the special education kids, that really, most of them, if they've come up through the Hingham schools, have been able to experience the fitness center that we have at the new middle school. And, unbeknownst to me, they found that valuable for whatever programs they use and whatnot. I've also heard a little bit, and I don't know much about it, and maybe some of you do, about the ESY program, maybe in the summer. I think it's called ESY. where an element of that involves some physical fitness or whatnot that they might have used to go to South Shore Country Club for, that maybe now that they could use this type of facility for. And the third part of this whole element, which really came from Dan and I just talking out the idea one day, and Dan's much better with his compass than I am, realizing that the way the building faces, it would be perfect if we could put solar panels on the top of it and really kind of make it a green building, if you will, and really give the first taste at Hingham High School of kind of the full. I mean, I know we have a green program there, and according to Rick, it's gone great and it's very strong, and they've been pushing for a while to figure out the whole solar thing. So the way the building faces, it really apparently is ideal spot for those panels to be on top. So having said that, we kind of had all these ideas about this whole thing, and we kind of started plugging along and saying, okay, you know, like I said before, we talked to the athletic director, which was kind of the first one that came to our mind. I think I put a call into Kerry early on in the process and just said, hey, this is what we're doing. Thinking about at the time, we really weren't doing anything. We were just thinking about, and, you know, just, I think it was really just led to believe you got to kind of go through these steps and talking to the right people. We didn't at the time when we first started doing this. I don't believe Gary was, he certainly wasn't on board officially yet. I'm not sure if he was named or not yet, but we were kind of in between superintendents. So that was a little bit of a hurdle. And then we just started digging around, and we had a great idea, I think, and we knew there was a need. Everybody seemed to like the idea. And then it came to, okay, well, how do we start this process? We had the opportunity, it was told, it kind of came to us or was told to us about CPC funding. One of the things at first, when you look at CPC, is the requirements that they have. And some of it was like, you know, we aren't there yet. We don't have plans. We don't have that yet for this. But one of the elements of it, we also found out, was they also do a lot of pre-funding for projects like this to help us get to that point. I share that with you because that's kind of why we're here. We're basically here for you guys, asking permission. Sounds kind of funny. We're here asking for permission to see if we can do research, to see if we can even do this project. So we're kind of asking for permission to kind of go and kick the tires to see if this is something that we can then come back to down the road and say, hey, here's a more formal presentation. Here's plans. Here's the cost. Here's our plan to finance it ourselves, not ask you guys for money. And here are all these plans for us to do this, and basically leave the school with what we think will be a much nicer asset than maybe is there now. I mean, I know it's used now, but I'm saying nicer for the whole campus type feel that it will tie in. So we're really here to ask, like I said, for permission to kind of go do the study. And as we put in our kind of first phase there, to get the architect on board, who we've talked with and has his engineers and everyone lined up to be able to go see exactly, like I said before, if this is actually doable. And if it's doable, in a scale that we think we can then go produce it for you. I'm not sure. Let me see. Dan, anything else I'm leaving out that you can think of? I'm not sure if Dan can. Oh, there we go.
No, yeah, I'm on, Kev. Sorry, everybody. I'm at the soccer field. Yeah. No, Kev, that was good. That was great. Piling on to what Kevin said. Thank you. You know, we appreciate the kind of the emergency nature of this meeting. We were a little bit forced into the CPC deadlines that if we missed, we found out 2 days before that if we missed a deadline, we had to wait an entire year to go back to them. So as two dads that really don't know the process, we threw our application in and it passed the first round, right? What was it, Kev, 20, I think?
Yeah, so
applications went in.
8 out of 20 advanced, and we were one of the 8.
So we were one of the 8, which was great. But now we've got another deadline, and that particular deadline's a little more, I don't know, inclusive. It's a little more extensive, I guess, for lack of a better word. So we're gonna need to put in quite a bit of work for that one, but that one requires your approval, basically. So as Kevin said, all we're looking for is permission to go research it and come back to everybody, you know, a month, 2 months from now and say, okay, we've got all of our information. Here are the official plans. All the engineers have signed off on it. Here's how much it's going to cost. Here's how long it's going to take. Here are the phases. We'll have all that information. Right now, we're just looking for you guys to say, yep, you have our blessing. Go find out if you can do it. So that's it, Kev. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. I think I would love to hear from the administrators. I see Jim Quattromoni's on here too, and Gary, if you want to speak to this.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and start, and then Jim, maybe Jim and Rick, you might want to jump in. You know, one of the things that we talked about earlier this week with the subcommittee on this is, you know, the CPC process is very detailed, and they would like the acknowledgement from the school committee through their process to be able to identify that, yeah, the school committee is endorsing this program at this level, in the sense we have to give them some level of acknowledgement to go out and do this work. And if they don't have that acknowledgement, it will not move forward in the process. And I think that's one of the big pieces that is important, that has to be kind of dealt with in a sense, because this process was discussed at the board select the select board level, and then I talked to Tom Mayo about it and said that this is probably going to come to the school committee. I found out about that about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So I think it's important to note that the suggestion that I gave early this week was to break this out in phases, because the first phase is really to take a look at the feasibility and understand what we're dealing with, you know. And I think Kevin and Dan have been very adamant that they would like to do that, and they need to do that, because they want to be able to include some of that information in the development of their whole plan. So right now, that's where they are. The CPC move to secure funding is a big process for them, and it could potentially get them off the ground to make this thing a reality. So that's the beginning of it. And I have talked to Rick and Dan collectively about this, and you know, they have shared some renderings of what the project can look like. Again, that's conceptual, but it does appear to be that this could fill a void that the school has had for quite some time, knowing that there are so many projects in the queue for town and school. I think they've realized that the health center that was initially proposed several years ago is probably still way off the radar. This is a solution in the interim that can actually add some more instructional space and overall workout space for all students in the high school. So I think that's kind of the framework on our end, and the suggestion of the phasing was presented early this week. They did the work. Dan sent it to me, I think, that same night. So we tweaked it. We tweaked the language a little bit, but it was inserted in the packet today, or it was inserted in the packet by my administrative assistant a couple days ago, so that you could kind of see what their thinking is at this part of the process: first phase, second phase, third phase. So that's kind of how that took place. That's why you have that document. And with that said, Carrie, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, so I'm assuming that Rick and Jim are in favor of this proposal.
Yeah, enthusiastically supportive of this. I think it'd be a terrific addition to our campus. It would be a real difference maker for our students. It's one area where I feel like our current facilities are pretty woefully inadequate for the needs of our students. And I'm very appreciative of HSP for taking the initiative here and imagining a really powerful use of a space that, right now does serve an important purpose, a utilitarian purpose for the school in terms of storage. I feel like we probably could address that in another low-cost way and find a much more beneficial use for that space. And not only for our student athletes, but really for, as Kevin said initially, for 100% of our students. I see it getting used throughout the school day for PE classes, for health classes, and for the full breadth of our student body. And at the same time, if we're able to do that, it also frees up the space that's currently used, down next to next to the wrestling room. It's most commonly referred to as the weight room. It's a small space, and I think we're getting as much use out of it now as we probably can, but to have the opportunity to transition that into a classroom, which we're just so squeezed for space. I mean, that's another layer of benefit here. There's a lot to be gained from this, and with HSP willing to do all of that work, very, very grateful to them for first imagining it and having the vision and energy to try to move it forward. I think there's a lot of potential here.
Great, thank you. Okay, so where are people? Michelle?
Sorry, thank you, Carrie. I just want to, recognizing the need for this, right? It's been out there for a long time. The only thing I just want to be careful of, and I'm okay with going into this feasibility piece of it, but I don't want to get that's the road we're on today, right? I don't want, if we agree to allowing this, I don't want it to be construed that we've approved the project and it can all get done. I think it's all little steps. So I just want to make sure we don't get too far down the road with we're doing it and it has to get done. I just want to just be sure that we're clear that's all we're doing right now.
So
Go
we tried so hard for the longest time, to the point where when we talked with people on HSP, we didn't email them the pictures that we had. We only showed them face to face. We tried to keep this for the same reason that you're saying, but a little bit different from our perspective is we can't commit, A, we hadn't gotten permission from anybody, and B, we can't commit. We honestly can't even commit yet that we can do this. We're trying to get permission to see if we can commit to doing it. So we've tried so hard to not put these pictures anywhere. I mean, honestly, I can tell you, I've told a handful of people about this. Now, I will say, Dan shared with me that recently, apparently one of his kids got wind of it. So it's getting out there quickly, but we've tried our hardest to really not, almost to the point where, we kind of feel like we're a little late coming to you guys, but we had to go through other steps and it just took us a while to get here.
And Kev, adding on to that, if you look at the document that Gary was referring to, the last bullet point in phase 1 is a formal presentation back to the school committee. So once we gather all this information and we say, hey, I think we can do this thing, right? We're going to come back to you guys, present everything to you. And at that point, you can say, go ahead, go raise the money, go, schedule all that type of stuff. So absolutely, we agree 100%.
Great. Liza?
Thank you. So I have a couple of questions for John Ferris, and I see that Reyes is on the call, and he may be able to answer the question as well. So I was looking up all of my documents from the last time we were looking at the health and fitness center. So that was back in 2016, 2015, 16. And one question I believe we did take this as a consideration at the time of using this building for a fitness center, and we found challenges with it. Is that correct? That was why we went with a different model. So John or Ray, I couldn't find that in my documents.
Yeah, I don't remember that, Liza. I remember more along the plans of, that we were talking about a plan to, put an addition on to the high school, and we had a rendering that Al Carney had put together.
Right.
We had the price of some $289,000 or so in order to do some programming. And then we went and said, well, how about 90,000 so we can do some investigation? And we sort of got shut down, and we tried again the next year. But I don't recall that we said the concession was out of play. Maybe it did come up, but that's a minor thing that I wouldn't remember. I just don't remember.
Yeah, Liza, I could maybe add. So I don't recall that. Well, if you may recall that when we used to do our Thanksgiving time tours, we toured the weight room and the health room 2 years in a row, right? Because we were really focused on trying to do something, and the focus of it was more less on the fitness, more on the health, because we really needed a health classroom, as you remember. And although I think there may have been some early discussion about trying to do something with the concession building, there was no way we were going to be able to put a classroom in there as well as fitness space because of the size and all of the other challenges. So if there was early discussion about it, it was quickly dismissed because it wasn't going to really do what we were trying to accomplish at the time, which was more curricular oriented.
Right. Okay. So then I guess another question I would have is we're going forward with an updated facilities master plan for all the schools. So I know this has been on the list for a while, and how would this grant of HSP going on their own, doing this one single project, how would that complement and or conflict if we're doing an overall facilities master plan addressing all of the needs of what we have as opposed to just this one isolated item?
I think, my own view on that, Liza, was, my view is I think we need both. We still need the health curriculum and the extra space within the high school to really, dress up that. I don't want to say dress up and make it ritzy, but I mean, right now the health room, we saw that, it's got the big pipes and stuff. It's not big enough for the student base. They have the phys ed, they have the health requirements and stuff. So I think longer term, we still need that health and wellness center at the high school. And this facility could still be, the rendering really impressed me. I like the way of the rendering. I don't know what that's going to cost. Okay. I mean, if we're talking the design might be 300,000, but the cost is not going to be, a small amount of money. But I mean, if it can be raised by the community, that's not a bad thing. But I think that the town and the schools on their own still have to do a significant thing to the high school to put that health and wellness curriculum onto the school. So I see it as, hey, this would be a good thing and it can help for a while. But if we're going to have a 20th century, a 21st century school here, this high school can't last that much longer in the state it is with that weight room. So I think we need that anyways. But that's just my view.
Okay. And then where would all the stuff go that's stored there now if we don't have that space?
I hear that, and I think that's a small, I mean, if we did trailers, if let's just say we were blessed and we had the ability to do this and the money was going to be there, then we just have to look at where we're going to put that storage stuff. So I don't have that answer right off the top of my head, but we'd try to have to look at some alternatives and deal with the building department to see, what else we can do, whether it be, if there are big trailers, if there is some type of stuff. I mean, do we, have more transport needs between two places? I think we'd have to work that. I don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
We've already had discussions with Jim Quattromoni about that because we know that there's been an ongoing issue with storage, not just that would be caused by losing this building. And he's told us that he intends to submit a request for some storage containers, whether that can be covered by the school budget or whether that's something that he submits as a grant to HSP and we could look at as part of this process to kind of alleviate that. But I think he and Rick have already discussed, potential storage options.
Okay.
Sorry,
Uh,
I'm just
okay.
feeling like, but this is where I was saying, I just feel like this is where, like, don't everybody go too far down the road with this planning, right? Because we're trying to make, like, thank you, Kevin, for nodding in agreement. We're trying to just make this about feasibility right now. Is this possible? And what are all the things that we all have to think about? That's what I was just trying to say.
And I guess I would request, if we do go ahead with this, with the feasibility piece of it, if we could look at the storage issue and also the converting the weight room too, as part of that, like the whole package, so we can look at all of that too. Liza, did you have any?
Yeah, I have one other thing, and this is, I totally understand the need for this, and I wish we could have had this, back in 2016. One thing, when I looked back on the documents from 2015, 2016, and this is just a heads up on the CPC, we got a grant, the school committee got a grant from CPC just a couple of years ago for the Plymouth River Playground. And we only got a little bit of money, and that was dependent on the public access to the playground. And when I looked back at all the documents from 2015, 2016, that there was some benchmarking done by the phys ed teachers of looking at other schools. And one of the slides was that the other towns, there was really no public access to the fitness rooms. And so, and that we weren't at that time, we talked about having public access, but that was going to be, an operational challenge to address. And so just as a heads up, if CPC gets, going down the line, that's something they're going to ask of what kind of public access is this out, and not just school students. And so it's something for you guys to think about, and it's something that we're going to have to think about as a school committee of, even if it happens, what kind of public access would even be provided. So I'm just sharing that with you. So, and we know a lot of you guys, I guess I am a little disappointed that we didn't know about this sooner. I know you wanted to keep it under wraps, but it would have been nice if we had been clued in a little earlier. So.
Okay, Ness?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin and Dan, for presenting this to us at the subcommittee meeting. Since I got on the committee, I appreciate the historical perspective that Liza and Ray give, and all that, John has been saying. I've been hearing about this since I came onto the committee. I've been talking about it with John and the Capital and Facilities Subcommittee group since I joined. And so it's something that we've always been talking about. So I appreciate that we're actually talking about it now and moving it forward. I think that it is something that we need for the kids. I'm glad that Kevin said that the kids are excited about it, to get the high school into the 21st century. The high school is not a building that we are going to be doing anytime soon. So there needs to be some kind of, just different solution for the kids. And if this is going to be something that HSP is going to move forward with and do the work on, and keep us posted, I think it's a great alternative. So I'm all for it. And I think, like Foster, the more we talked about it, we start socializing it. So I'm glad that we're just starting to have the discussion, because we'll make it clear to the town that this is a need.
Great, thank you, Ness. Jen?
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin, for taking the time to meet with us today and also on Monday. I think the high school population benefit from this Health and Wellness Center. That said, I do have concerns, and I'm with Michelle that I'm okay just with this at this time for feasibility, just in that category. I appreciate HSP's advocacy for for wanting to fund this project. I will say that the CPC funding ask is one concern that I do have. This is a capital project, and this health and wellness center will only benefit the high school population. So at this time, right now, just okay with feasibility and going from there after that. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Jen. Carlos?
I too appreciate that Dan, Kevin, and other individuals worked on this. I have already raised the concern that CPC can be, hard to get buy-in, but I think coming from parents of students with a different perspective. So it's not the school committee presenting before the CPC. I did highlight to Kevin and Dan that we, Libby and I, through the subcommittee, had to go before them for money for Plymouth River playground, and it was not an easy process. So, understanding that they will know upfront, do the best you can to lobby individuals on CPC beforehand. I hope you do get some money from them, because then it'll make it easier for you to go and raise the rest of the funds. I like the fact that you are actually bringing this up to the forefront. It is like that things gets done. I mean, it's too bad, the windows at Plymouth River took many years. Foster took many years to be really addressed as a primary issue. So Hawk is, the Health and Wellness Center is really up there too. Hopefully you'll get the money and get this done and over with. If you don't, in the next few years, we may have to address that. So you have my full support. Good luck with everything. And let me know as an individual also what I can do to help you out. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Carlos. Kevin?
Just quickly, just to kind of reiterate or just really emphasize, I guess is the better way to say it, that we're really looking for permission to go see if we can even do this. So I mean, everyone's like, oh, this is great. You guys are taking it on. And Michelle, I would like nothing more than if this didn't go any further than this meeting, but we all know how this town works. I mean, Dan and I don't want to be the guys that like ran with this and couldn't get it done either. So, but we're really, I mean, it's hard to get permission from all these certain places and touch these people and tell everyone, hey, keep it quiet, because eventually it just doesn't work. So we really are just trying, to Jen's concern, we're trying to see if this works this way. We're trying to go see if we can do this with through a little bit of CPC money helping us pay for these engineers and whatnot. So we're really just looking for permission to see if we can come back. If we make it back to see you guys again with a big proposal, then I'll be really excited and be like, all right, now we can be excited. We're really kind of hesitantly kicking the tires here, asking for this because, we're excited about it. We to John's point, that the rendering can only, if you look at the rendering, it only can get you excited. But we're also a little bit realistic too. Like this it's not going to be simple, and there's some work to be done, but we're really just looking for that first phase of approval. And I totally appreciate Michelle and Jen's concern that, you guys aren't, listen, I don't want an article in the Anchor that this is happening tomorrow, but, I mean, I wouldn't participate in it, but I can't tell you won't find it somewhere. We know how this works. So I hope we don't see it, because we're not ready for that yet.
Yeah, I think it's, I love the idea of it. I think especially we've talked about the effects of COVID on kids, student physical fitness and their social emotional health. And if we're going to be dealing with this for years. So I think if we can get this done and if this is successful, I think it would be really a great thing for our students. Yeah, and I'm with Michelle about, I fully support feasibility, but we just need to make sure we keep talking at every step to make sure. And I think the other thing I'd mentioned, when as part of the feasibility study, if you could look at the storage issue, the weight room, but also the maintenance costs going forward, because even if we, that'll have an impact on the school budget as well. Yeah, even if we manage to raise all the funds privately. So just the cost of maintaining the building and as we go, that would be good. So I think I was hearing kind of consensus to endorse the application just for the feasibility study. Is that?
Carrie, can I ask?
Yeah, Liza.
So I read I appreciate you saying that you're asking for feasibility money. And I would appreciate it if you updated your CPC application to reflect that.
We haven't done our
because-
application yet.
Well, even what the preliminary application that we were provided, it says rehabilitate an existing structure on Hingham High School grounds and turn it into usable health and wellness center for high school use. So that's like that's building the building. And when I just read this, because I didn't know anything about this background, I didn't know anything about the conversations with Jim and Rick. And so if you can update that for being specific for feasibility.
Can you
that
just
would-
explain? So I'm sorry, can you just, what do you mean it's building the building? I just don't.
So I'm just reading the handwritten application that I was provided, that the contact person is Deb McCarthy. That
No,
was
I understand
submitted
what you're
to
doing. I just don't
CPC.
understand your comment on, I just don't know what building to building means.
Building a building.
Oh, building,
So-
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I
Yeah.
misunderstood you.
So, so I'm okay with going ahead, just asking for feasibility funds, but I'd appreciate that that's very clear
Yeah,
on updating with CPC.
100%.
Because I don't want, we're not endorsing, that's what we're endorsing is the feasibility funds and not rehabilitating the existing structure.
No, yeah, and I think that I hate to say the real application, but the next phase, of the application, we have to be very specific about what we're asking for. And to your point, Liza, that's exactly what it will say. And we'll supply you.
So we also got to keep in mind that pushes us off another year as well, right?
No.
So if we want to go back for CPC money for the actual building itself, the roof or solar or whatever, that we can't do that until the following year. So if all we ask for, as long as the school committee knows, now you're another year out from getting the actual building completed, if we go that direction, which is your choice. I just want to make sure that we understand the ramifications of just asking for feasibility funds at this point from CPC.
I
Go ahead,
will
Ray.
say-
Sorry,
I will say from our experience with the PRS playground, when we went for the CPC, they are going to want a fee. They're going to want like specifics about what it costs and what, what this is going to involve. They're not going to just write a check because they're going to want the feasibility study to be completed before they give funds to the project. Ray, did you have something?
Yeah, if I could. So just to be clear, the reason why the initial CPC application is, pretty bare bones and not detailed, it's because the decision to submit that was really made probably 48 hours before the deadline. And it was after significant discussion among members of HSP about how to approach this great idea and how we could possibly get it done. Once that application was in, the discussions have evolved, and we have absolutely realized that it needs to be done in a phased approach for a number of reasons, right? And obviously, it needs to go through you because you control the property. We don't know what the project is going to be in scope. We don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know what it's going to look like potentially. And that's why we couldn't ask for all of the money now, to Dan's point. It's only to really start this initial phase, which is schematic design, engineering work, perhaps a cost estimate to get a sense of what it is that we can do in scope, what it might look like, what it will cost. And then HSP is planning to meet on October 18th at our regular meeting. One of the items on the agenda, and Deb McCarthy, the president, is on the call as well. And we're going to be talking about, how we want to move forward as a board to support this, including a fundraising campaign, which we would probably start sometime next year. So by no means are we getting ahead of ourselves. And the second application that's due, I think October 12th to the CPC, will absolutely be more detailed and more defined as to the limited scope that we're looking to try to accomplish at this point.
Great. Carlos?
And I just want to make clear what I said is, as an individual, whatever I can do in terms of helping out, please let me know. And I'm saying this because as a body, we are not allowed to work on raising funds. So I just want to make clear that I was specifically saying that, let me know if I can be of any help. The other thing too is I also don't want to tie your hands. I want to leave it in a way that, yes, you are looking for money for feasibility study, but your primary goal is to actually raise the entire money to do the project, to get the project done. If you do that, obviously, because as you're using the opportunity to go before CPC, the word will get out, right? And the more the word get out, in order for you to raise the fund, will be to your benefit. So
it will be, Carlos, but I think that's the fine line that we're doing right now, because we don't want to get ahead of ourselves from that standpoint. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves from the school committee standpoint. We really need to keep this on feasibility right now, because there's going to be time, if we get through all this and we come back and present to you and you guys are all on board, then you're going to see a fundraising campaign. But for a number of reasons, it's a waste of time, quite frankly, for us to go put a campaign together when we have no idea how much money we're trying to raise. So we really need to do that first step, and we really need to stay in sync out of respect to you guys and really out of respect to the process.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
John?
If I can say, yeah, so as you go through the process, Kevin and Dan, so Dan, you say it's going to put it off a year. It's like, but that's not putting it off a year. That's the process of getting something done. So, I think in your own perspective, you got to realize that it's not going to get built in 22 or probably the first half of 23. We don't know yet. And then the other thing is, it goes through the process. The checks for the building department have to be made, the Concom have to be made, the sewer department have to be made, because there's things in that area that we know we would have to do if we do any other major project, because there is a sewer issue, and there's a not a sewer, but yeah, sewer issue in the area where we have to make a correction to a faulty pitch or stuff like that. So things like that will end up getting triggered in this project. So that's be part of the feasibility as we go through to see if we can get it done. So Dan, I just mentioned that in some sense it calls for a little bit of patience, and the fact that it pushes doesn't matter if it's moving forward. I think that's really what's important.
No, that's great feedback. That's me being an ignorant dad, hoping I can get it done quicker for the kids. So I appreciate it. I do.
Okay.
Everything we do, Dan, is trying to do it quicker for the kids, and yet, and yet.
Yep. Okay. So would somebody like to make a motion to endorse the HSP Community Preservation Committee application to build out for a feasibility study?
I think I have a motion
Okay.
correct through the conversation. The only question I have is there an official name for that structure other than the current structure used for storage at the HHS multipurpose field? Is that?
I'd call it the old concession. Yeah, the old field concession.
Kevin has a name.
That's what it seems to be most frequently known as, the old concession stand.
The former concession stand. Okay, so I will attempt this motion. All right, so make a motion to endorse Hingham Sports Partnership to submit an application for a CPC grant or Community Preservation Committee application to fund preliminary work to determine the feasibility of remodeling the structure formerly used as the concession stand at the Hingham High School multipurpose field. To facilitate, sorry, there's no more part to facilitate. So feasibility of remodeling that structure to facilitate a health and wellness center.
You had the hard part. I'll do the second.
All right, all in favor? Michelle?
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
Ness,
Aye.
Carlos,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So thank you all for taking this on and doing this. I hope we can get it done.
Thank you guys, and I'm sure we'll
Thank
be
you.
seeing you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one
So
final
the more the
thing.
better.
Yeah, John?
Just one final thing. So guys, when the application gets done, if it needs to be signed by somebody here, it's probably Gary, or I could probably sign it too. So just so you know, when it gets dropped off.
I think Gary indicated that he was going to have a letter prepared that we could submit with the application that would confirm the school committee's endorsement of our application on its
Yes.
behalf.
Yes, what I'll do is I'll formulate a letter and on behalf of the school committee identifying tonight's vote.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thanks,
Thank-
Gary.
Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time, too.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Okay, so number 3 is 48 hours, and we do have something. Michelle managed to work on the superintendent ideal candidate profile, and there's a draft in the packet. Sherry was kind enough to do it, so who can just talk about that for a minute?
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm pulling it up now.
No, me too.
And it looks like you got it down to a page.
I was just gonna say, did I get it down to a page? I didn't check before. I literally was last second at 3:58. I was dropping it in. I'm like, I get it down to a page. All right.
Yeah, it displayed as a page.
It does display.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so why don't we go through it? All right, so you broke.
Oh no, there's one more. There's one bullet point on. Oh no, there's actually some more on page 2. Sorry, there's a page 2.
Oh,
Sorry.
all right.
I can make the font smaller.
Yeah. Smaller margins, right?
Exactly. Correct. So just so folks know, sorry, 'cause I just got in
Yeah,
here. So I took sort of our notes that I took at the meeting, like the bullet points, and then used some of the language from the original candidate profile to come up with this. So hoping, and no pride of ownership wording or anything, like I just sort of what popped into my head, like what's this competency for?
Mhm.
And so I started broken into like operations, leadership, or operations, students, staff, leadership, and then like community engagement.
Right.
First thought is, can we move the student focused leader first?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. I'm going to.
I don't have edit access, so I can't.
Oh, okay. I don't mind if we do it as a group. I don't even have it.
Do you want to do the edits, Michelle?
Yes,
Do you have the document?
I do. All right. I'm not good at doing it there, so I'm going back to my old computer to do it. Actually, no, that's not gonna work. All right, so move that first. Actually. Okay.
Do you want me to do it, Michelle? Okay.
I think I got it.
Okay, there you go.
There we go.
Can I ask a question while Michelle's doing that?
Yep.
Some of the items are labeled highly desired. Does that rank it? The rest of them that are not labeled highly desired, are those considered required or are those considered just desired? Like does marking something highly desired move it up in the priority or down in the priority?
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yep. All right. I'm with you on that.
Well,
Those are
what
just the
does-
things that I guess that they were sort of like, we'd really, really like to have these. So I think to answer the direct question, I think it is a little bit of like, those are things that if it's not highly desirable, it's a requirement, but those other things are things we really, really, really would like to see.
And Tim,
And
it
I
could be the case if somebody is not from Massachusetts, that like they wouldn't necessarily have MECO. They might,
experience.
they might be, or like MSBA, like they may have built a building in their state, but not specifically with the MSBA. But then, you know, for the screening committee, they may then look at it and be like, oh, well, you know, having a Massachusetts person would be more highly desired if they had that specific experience. I guess that's how I would look at it.
Would it be is preferred a better, because all of the things are highly desired, would preferred or preference be a better word?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. So we replace that with preferred.
And my other question, this is super nitpicky, so I apologize in advance, but I know student focused is grammatically correct as a hyphenated word and as two separate words, but I think for clarity, it makes more sense as a hyphenated word. I don't know how people see that. Not for the topics, it makes sense, but the make student focused, data-driven decisions, I think that sentence is confusing without a hyphen there, because it sounds like you're making the students focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Got
So nitpicky.
Yeah. And the
No,
original,
that's all right.
the original document has it hyphenated too, including in the title. I made a suggestion on there, pulled it from the original, but preparing them for active. I like that you have the expectations. I think that's important.
On the third bullet on student focused, where it articulates a vision for an effective, challenging learning environment, do we want, instead of challenging, do we want to say rigorous? Or what's? Tim,
No, I didn't love that
What-
word either. It was originally challenging, but I was like, that's not like.
Rigorous is a positive spin on challenging.
So it does mean the same thing? It would mean the same thing? And it's just more current of a term? I don't know. Oh, and then on the next one, where it's committed to D, E, I, and B, which I think we should leave those and make sure the person knows what they really mean. But do we want to say something about restorative justice practices in that, or would you consider that's part of, we don't have to specify that?
Yeah, maybe that's almost part of the test.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they familiar with those as a current practice?
Yeah, and I would think restorative justice would be included in educational practices.
Okay, then we can see if they watched our school committee meetings and heard that we were doing it, so, okay.
Right. And I think everybody should have edit credentials if they want to just type things in. So thank you for those who are doing.
Yeah, I don't, so that's why I was saying it.
That's weird, because that's weird, because that happened to me the other night, Liza, when you had it, but it does, you're listed as an editor.
Oh, huh. Okay, well,
But
let
it's
me
funny
try,
'cause the other
well,
night
let me
I was
try
listening-
now.
Okay, because I couldn't do it the other night when you had listed me as an editor.
I know sometimes it's because with me, I often have permission challenges because I have like 4 different Google accounts. It automatically signs me out and in all of them in random order. So just make sure you're signed in on the right account.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've had trouble. It's when
I've
it goes into the
signed in.
file
I
for all
don't
of
know,
us.
it's not allowing me to do it.
That's so weird. Yeah, I couldn't do it the other night when you had it too. Maybe we don't like sharing our 2 screens.
On the effective and experienced school operations. Do we want to
Those
say, do
headers
we want to
can
use
definitely,
school system or do we want to say school district? What was in the original? Do we know?
I feel like the last one said system,
Okay.
but I like district. I think I like district better, but
Yeah, it did say system and I agree.
you like district better?
So it's
Okay.
twice, this third and the fourth bullet. Oh, and the first in the title.
Yep, okay. Let's go.
And then in the 2 more bullets down, experience with building and implementing strategic planning. I think we're using building for various
Oh,
things. So
yes,
we use like
constructing, yes,
designing or
developing.
develop, yeah.
Yes, good point. And implementing a strategic plan.
Yeah, because I was gonna suggest on the, back to Tim's point of what the building projects is, if somebody wasn't from Massachusetts, that if you wanted to say experience with building projects such as renovations or new construction.
Do we want to say their experience with simultaneous multiple building projects? Because
True.
that's what we've got, right?
Yeah.
Or major building projects or new and new and renovation, or I don't know.
Renovations and
New construction.
new construction, that's what I said. Or such as, or
renovation and new construction.
Yeah.
And then MSBA or similar, what's the word I'm looking for?
Comparable? No.
Like similar, like in another state. Is it similar? Similar experience?
There's another word. But I can't
I
think of
know.
it. There's an
I was
actual
kinda
word. But
Not
similar words.
Could use related.
Yeah.
Related experience? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, because they should research what the MSBA is anyway, if they're not from Massachusetts.
It's the same thing for
Okay.
Metco too, you know, they're gonna have to come in prepared.
Yes.
What about comparable instead of related?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Comparable. Comparable. All right.
Comparable's a much better fit, absolutely.
I want to take a crack at the headers because I don't like them. Those are my, were effective in there too much.
How about inspirational and accessible leader, or
Charismatic. We had charismatic in the original one.
I'm not sure 2021 is the time to ask for a charismatic leader.
No.
I mean, I would say inspirational. Or
Okay.
I know when Gary came, people were like, he talked about his videos that he showed for convocation, and that was inspirational. People, I heard good positive feedback of that type of leadership. So
Activating.
Just wonder if we want to make it more like active voice to kind of go away from in charismatic leader language to say skilled in inspiring community to, or
Yes.
you know, something sort of more phrased that way.
So I was thinking in those header things that are underlined, like there could be more to that, like a little summary, like an inspirational and accessible, like to Tim's point, like an inspirational and accessible leader skilled at delivering, and then those bullet points. You know what I mean?
this is our first draft. We can send it out, get feedback, and add to it too. So we don't have to.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Michelle. I'm just saying, like, we don't have to overthink it now.
Yeah.
If we want to
I'm
get
with
it
you.
going. So then on these bullets, you have your second bullet and your fourth bullet are similar.
In which one? The experienced mentor, coach, and
then
effective
effective
evaluator.
evaluator with proven ability to coach and support leadership team. So
yeah, I was trying to get to Gary's point about we don't want a micromanager. I was trying to weave a couple of things in there. Like Carrie was like, we need somebody who's who knows how to evaluate people, is effective at communicating it.
Yeah.
But also a leader who's not micromanaging the day-to-day operations, but also takes responsibility when something goes wrong. You know,
what about if it's effective evaluator with proven ability to motivate and support leadership team? Or experienced mentor, and I mean, I like the mentor and coach.
Yeah.
Or it could be effective evaluator with proven ability to develop and support leadership team. We're using develop a lot, but.
What if we had a couple? All right. So what if it's experienced mentor coach who promotes autonomy and independent decision-making, colon, supports
while supporting a climate of mutual trust and respect. I don't think I could say that again.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I got it. Respect.
This document internal to Hingham, or is this part of what is being advertised? This is just for our purposes and the screening, right?
No.
Yes.
Aren't we putting it out? Aren't we putting it out and asking for feedback on it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets out, Tim, but it's not like we're not distributing it to the candidates, but it's not a public.
It's not part of the advertisement for the position.
Right, and then it's also, you hope that they go on our website and they dig for it and they find it, and that they know that that's what we're looking for, and that they can answer the questions. So.
All right. uses, how about for the, and, all right, I'm changing this up. So that first bullet point, how about provide support and uses sound evaluative, is that a word?
Practices.
Practices to develop a highly skilled and motivated and engaged staff.
Mhm.
So we can get rid of effective evaluator.
That third paragraph, it should be builds and fosters. That with an S on the end of, yeah.
And then relationships has to be singular.
Yes, that's why I was. Go over there then.
Builds and fosters. No, because relationships with all, because you're talking about all district.
Yeah.
I think maybe I like Jen's climate of mutual trust and respect here better. Builds and fosters a climate of mutual trust and respect with all. Anybody else feel that?
Yeah. I agree.
Is it under the experienced mentor coach who promotes autonomy and independent decision making? Is it, I'm trying, but I do want to put in there, but also understands the buck stops with you without saying the buck stops with you. Like, does that make sense, Gary? I'm thinking there, like, we want them to promote building-based decision-making, but also recognize, but you've got to coach them to make the right decisions. Oh, maybe it's experienced mentor coach with a goal of like because like that's the goal. Like we want somebody who can mentor and coach our less experienced administrators, right? To get them to become that.
And how about, so independent decision making, there's one in the, and holds them accountable for their decisions. That was in the old one. So it holds people accountable for making decisions.
Well, you can put it in and fumble it around a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
That's sort of it, Carrie.
That's great. Yeah.
So that, Michelle, 3 down from that, you could say inclusive, thoughtful, and decisive problem solver. Or you could put decisive in. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm wondering if that line should be divided into 2 bullet points, because those seem like 2 very different things.
The conflict management and the decisive thinker.
Well, the inclusive and decisive problem solver seems like that's talking about larger problems than just staff conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, true.
And if that's the case, I might add innovative problem solver. I like the word innovative.
Rather than decisive.
I think innovative, I think innovative, thoughtful, inclusive, all 3, and then decisive. You want them to act on these, and they got to do it timely decisions, you know? But you can
For
forget about
the second part, we can move the skilled conflict management to its own bullet point and say inclusive, thoughtful, innovative problem solver who can act decisively in a timely manner or something.
Oh, nice.
All right, so give me that again. Inclusive, thoughtful, innovative problem solver.
Was able to act decisively in a timely manner.
with the ability.
Act decisively.
With the ability to pivot the word of last year.
So how about inclusive, thoughtful, innovative problem solver with the ability to act decisively? Or the skills to ability, I think.
Yeah, that's good.
Skills at conflict management could go under the maintains a calm professional demeanor in all interactions, particularly conflict.
I think it's fine.
I think you leave it by itself because it
Yeah.
applies to staff, parents, it's a variety of things.
True. Okay.
You might want to put the last bullet up with the top 3.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, maybe just putting that in, provide support, maybe that first bullet point, maybe a
because they're all
colon after that.
They're all like staff development related.
Yeah. Let's just move up from there.
And that one would be related to hiring people.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to move it up there as a bullet point.
It's kind of hanging after you have all the traits of a leader.
Right. Now I can't get rid of that. Oh. Sorry, all right, so somebody else get rid of that.
We'll
space
fix
between-
that.
Yeah. Somebody get rid of that space between those 2 bullets. Actually, we can take it out.
Do you think this is good as a draft? Thank you for cutting it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Love doing stuff like that. It's what I wanted to do for a living.
Editor?
If I wasn't going to be a teacher, I wanted to be an editor, yeah. Or a teacher. So I work at a bank.
Correcting grammar all day is my wheelhouse.
All right, cool. So the next steps, this is going to go on the website with the Google form, Liza.
Yes, so I have a form I was working on it today. So we can do a community one and a staff one. And then I'll talk to Carolyn about how to link everything back to them.
Okay.
I did see that when we asked for community input, we did surveys for each of the finalists. We did say on that your response will be shared with the full school committee. Please be advised that your comments are considered a public record. So, you know, we could just have it come back to us and have that on there so that people know whatever they're giving us is considered a public record. But I guess, and you know, this is just character traits of the person we want, as opposed to comments about a specific person. I know when we had the surveys, some of the teachers didn't want to have put in writing some of their thoughts about the individual people. So I don't know, I guess now with this disclaimer, I wouldn't have a problem with it just staying with us as a public record.
Yeah, that's probably simpler. Yeah.
Unless, if you're worried about somebody requesting it, but I mean, what are they going to request, that we didn't have one little edit included? It's
right. Yeah, no, I think it's fine if we just goes to you. You would go to you, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, my school committee email address, so then it's publicly accessible. So, okay. So, I'm going to work on that and get that done. So hopefully we can get this out next week. And then, I'm going to work on, then the letters to the different groups of identifying their steering committee members. I'll get that out next week as well. So, and just so you guys know, salary negotiations is going to meet again on Thursday, the 14th, because we're preparing for our negotiation on the 19th. So we can also address any superintendent search things as a subcommittee at that time too, prior to our meeting on the 18th, when we'll update the public of everything that we're doing. So, so I guess if you guys have anything, you can let us know that we can then discuss it on the 14th too. So, all right, so we'll get moving.
Yeah, thank you very much for doing that. Okay. Anyone else have anything for 48 hours? No? Okay, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Michelle?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Ness? We'll come back to her. Carlos?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.